Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode from my How Do I series. My name's Amia Serrano, and I am a fashion stylist. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how do I style an editorial. What an editorial is a magazine editorial. So you're doing a photo shoot for a magazine. This can be a magazine that's printed that you see on like very scarce newsstands that we have nowadays, or even published online on the magazine's website. I myself am a freelance fashion stylist, but there are some stylists out there who specifically style magazine editorials for specific magazines, and some of them have a title of fashion editor. When it comes to a magazine editorial, it's pretty much like any other photo shoot in a sense where you're pulling for it. When it comes to talent for these magazine editorials, it can either be a model that is represented by an agency, or it can be a celebrity. Nowadays, even an influencer. You typically get contacted by either the photographer who's putting on the editorial for the magazine, or the editor-in-chief who reached out to you directly to style one of their editorials for the magazine, or it can be the publicist for the influencer or even the celebrity that wants to do the photo shoot for that magazine. And unfortunately, editorials pay little to none unless you work for the magazine. I mean, that's how you're going to get paid, right? Because that's your job. As a freelancer stylist, some get paid, some don't. And when you do get paid, it's very little. But at least it's something, right? So now you're hired for this magazine editorial. You want to know, what kind of wardrobe am I pulling? You're going to ask questions like, what's the concept? Which is when a mood board will get sent to you by either the editor-in-chief or the publicist or the photographer, whoever is putting on the shoot for the magazine. The other question you're gonna ask is, how many looks? And is it full body? Is it partial? And of course, you're gonna get the talent's measurements. And before you get on that editorial, you need to find out if it's gonna be on location, if it's gonna be in studio, because when it comes to shoes, you may have to tape them, which is in another video of mine. How do I tape shoes? And sometimes you don't. And then it's just good to know if there's stairs, because when you're unloading your car, you want to know if there's stairs, because you can't pick up a full rack of clothes and take it up the stairs. As a stylist, you want to be prepared. You need a portable changing room. You need a towel if you're on location and the talent has to step on something before they put on their shoes while they're putting on wardrobe. There's just so many things that you need to be prepared for as a stylist when you're shooting an editorial. And then from there, you're going to go in your little resource box. I actually have a folder of screenshots from Instagram when I find brands or showrooms or even rental houses for wardrobe, because you just never know when you're gonna need it. So I go in my little folder on my desktop and I look through there and pretty much reach out to anyone who has wardrobe that's pertaining to that mood board that I got. It usually takes some time, and you have to consider the timing, because sometimes you'll get contacted maybe like a week or two in advance, and then there's times where like, hey, can you style this editorial in like 2 days or like tomorrow? Depending on the time frame of how much time you have to pull depends on where you want to pull. So say I have an editorial to style in like 2 days. I'm just gonna pull from locally from showrooms out here in Los Angeles. Now, if I had more time, then that broadens my resources and I can reach out to showrooms or brands that are located in like, say, New York, or maybe in the UK. Again, that like takes time because we're on different time zones and all that, and then the shipping, and you don't even have a shipping budget. So you have to be mindful of the budget that you have when it comes to editorials, because again, you're either getting little to no pay, which means you're coming out of pocket if you're trying to get things shipped, or maybe the brands or showrooms will ship for free for you. That's happened to me in the past. You just never know. I mean, you could ask, like, there's nothing wrong with that, but don't expect it all the time. When you send out those pull requests, this is also in another video of mine from last season. How do I pull from a showroom? So this all ties together. Here's the pull letter, an LOR, a letter of responsibility. In other words, a pull letter, this piece of PDF paper, because this is all digital, you don't get a physical copy, but like this PDF is proof to show showrooms and brands that you really are styling an editorial for that magazine. And the responsibility part means that the stylist, sometimes the stylist is responsible for the wardrobe, which is in that pull letter, as well as the editor-in-chief who signs off on it. And they even sometimes say like, oh, the magazine is responsible for wardrobe if anything happens, but most of the time it's us. So you're gonna need the mood board for the concept of the editorial. You're gonna need the talent, who it is, get their Instagram, get their sizing, even see like who's shooting it. I feel like a lot of the times when I've done an editorial, they just mainly tell me who's shooting it. And I never know who the makeup artist or the hairstylist is until like the day of, unless I ask, but honestly, I don't. And sometimes I don't even ask about the photographer either. It's just given to me. But when you're sending these pull requests for these magazine editorials, it's good to have that stuff because it just shows who you're pulling from. Like, hey, this is the team. It's going to be really good. I personally love editorials because you can get so creative and it's all about the fashion and it's a story. You want to have a story when you put the outfits together too, because you want the story to make sense. Like, you're not going to have a full-on denim look because it's a denim story and then have some faux fur and sequins. It just doesn't make sense. Typically, I like to put the looks together before shoot date. With magazine editorials, you can get multiple sizes. Of course, you get multiple options. Don't just get, they say style 4 looks. Don't just pull 4 looks. Get extras because you don't know how it's gonna fit. But what's great about editorials is, yes, get their right sizing, but it's okay if it's a little big because you can pin, you can tuck, you can safety pin, you can do so many things on set when it comes to editorials. So you're not really too worried about the fit or the size. When you're shooting the editorial, make sure you get photos of the talent in each look so you give the appropriate credit. And when I say credits, it's usually just the tags of the Instagrams from the brands that you pull from. And when this magazine editorial comes out, and it usually comes out maybe fast, I've styled editorials where the editorial or the feature online just came out super fast, like within days or the following week. And then there's editorials that I styled that don't come out until the following month. Because typically when it comes to magazine editorials, you're prepping for their next issue or 2. It's kind of like Fashion Week, like they're just ahead of the season. And when you're all finished with the editorial, you do get credit as the stylist. I don't know any editorial where you haven't gotten credit for it. And you gotta make sure that when this editorial comes out, that the credits for the brands or the showrooms or that they're correct too, because that's publicity for the brands. And you don't want to get their tags wrong in case someone wants to pull from them. I really hope this video helped you when it comes to how to style a magazine editorial. And if it did, be sure to share, like, and subscribe for more.